Hey friends, I hope you're having a good day. I want to talk a little bit about painting some simple birch tree or aspen tree trunks. I've got a painting that I did a while ago. It's called Straight and Narrow. I actually did it with a palette knife painting. So the reason I want to talk about, look, that's a simple landscape. So if you're new to painting, a beginner, I don't know what else I was going to say there. This could be a fun one to do. Well, it doesn't matter what stage you are at painting. It still could be a really fun, relaxing, simple painting to do. But I want to do more of a art tips video, an art lesson video, and let's just talk a little bit about atmospheric perspective and painting these simple trees. Plus, I think these are aspens because they're straight. I Googled Unsplash for a reference photo, and I Googled aspens and birch trees, and I got the same photos popping up. And then I think usually, even though I have these square, I think a lot of times those are round because it's where the tree branch was. Okay, so let's play, let's learn a little bit, and let's have some fun. Let's take a look at what I've got going on here. So I put out some, in case you want to know my colors, Prussian blue, neutral gray 5, Hooker's green, Mars black, and titanium white. And I painted a color background so that our birch trees are primarily white or white looking, so they need some color or just value, a middle value behind them so you can see the trees. And then so a little bit about atmospheric perspective, which I've mentioned in at least one or two of my other simple landscape painting videos. As you go outside and you look up, the sky looks bluer, and then as you come down, it gets grayer and lighter. So that's just a simple way to do that. And then it's the same with things off in the distance. So I do have a little bit of a, like trees or hill or something in the background, but it gets lighter. Oops, I need to dry that with a hairdryer. It gets lighter as you go back, and grayer, and then more color as you come forward. I really didn't make this grayer, but that's just a simple way to get a little atmospheric perspective in your landscapes. All right, let's paint some birch trees. So I had already painted this, and then the whole video was on time lapse. And so it didn't have any of my comments. It was like 2 minutes long. So we're re-videoing this. So that's why my colors are mixed up. This is a 1/2 inch Simply Simmons flat shader. Use any brush you want. Oh, and I'm going to use a palette knife too. We'll use one of these. We'll put those out there so I remember. All right, so we're just going to grab a little paint. So we're just going to focus on the trunks because it's easier. It can make a really fun, pretty painting. It doesn't matter what skill level you are. I'm thinking, quit talking. So the trees, we're gonna make them a little fatter. Oh, and then I tape my paper down just to make it, sturdier. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is a Canson mixed media paper, 9 inches by 12 inches. I showed that in it was in the time-lapse video. It's the same paper, same pad that I used for the pear video, which is a great video. You guys should check that one out. Because once you learn how to paint things like a pear and see the shapes and understand value and lights and darks, which is values, really you can paint anything, or you can get better at painting anything. All right, let's do a skinny one actually. And we're gonna say that this one is just off in the distance more. So we're sort of standing at the edge maybe of a aspen tree grove. I think the painting I showed you in the beginning was more aspen tree than birch trees. Let me know in the comments if you guys know the difference. I'm thinking the aspens are straighter, and these are really straight. All right, and let's do a fat one. So I'm grabbing a little water just because the paint doesn't flow as well and dries quicker on the paper. I'm used to painting on a, ooh, that one got really fat. Let's just kind of pull a line down here. I'm used to painting on canvas, which dries just a little bit slower. Well, it has more texture, which some people like and some don't. Some people like painting on like MDF board or something like that. Smooth. We could actually leave this skipping in there. That'll help us. Is that whiter at the bottom? That's all I'm looking for. And actually it doesn't have to be, because we're kind of looking out mid-tree. We're not seeing the tops and we're not seeing the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna dry this with a hair dryer. While I'm thinking of it, I just did this video. It should have went up a few days to a week ago. It has a traceable, and you could paint it really simple, big brush. It'd be a great beginning painting, you know, or you can get, you know, more detailed and complicated with it. It's up to you guys. But I think you might like that one. And then let me know what you want me to video and paint. I'm planning on doing more flowers. Here's a pretty daisy video. This one has a traceable too. It probably went up a week to 2 weeks ago. The reason I don't know is because I haven't sent the videos to favorite daughter. Oh, sorry, I bumped my arm. To favorite daughter for editing, so I don't know when exactly they'll be going up yet. Okay, so let's say our light's coming from the left. And then normally I don't go straight to white, but these trees are so light. I'm just gonna, I don't know, try to keep it random, kind of pull down, pull across. You can also kind of, actually up here it would go curve more this way. So it would go straight wherever the horizon line is or your eye line is, and then it would curve up when you're above it, and it would curve, or curve down and then curve this way if you're below. But we don't really know where, I'm assuming we're standing further back. So you don't know where your eye line or horizon line, well, I guess the horizon line's there. So actually it should be straight here. And then all these should curve up. Well, it's already starting to look a little bit like a tree. So on this one, I'm just gonna wiggle and maybe pull a few. Oops. And then when you have happy accidents, just let them be. So I don't know if this is totally gonna work, because it's not gonna look that far off in the distance because it's kind of close to that one. Oopsie. Well, let's make it whiter. I need a little bit of water. I've got fans running, so it's drying my paint out. But you can see I dried it on purpose, and I'm not really blending wet on wet. I'm just adding layers. I think if you're a beginning painter or new to acrylics, it can be really frustrating. Oops, I didn't need to wash my brush out. I guess I'll get it wet though. It can be really frustrating when it dries on you like that. Because oil paints, you know, if they're thick, gosh, I have no idea how long they could take. You know, maybe overnight for a thin oil paint to surface dry. Okay, let's use a palette knife on this one. just to show you the difference. And the extra texture should make it look closer. Oops, I put the paint on the wrong side. So just have some paint on there. Now I think this is easier and really fun. Got a little bit too much paint on my knife. For doing aspen or birch trees, you guys gotta let me know in the comments. How do you know which are which? I have clump birch trees in my backyard, but they don't have any of this fun black spots and texture to them. One's just kind of white and the others are just sort of flaky bark, kind of peely. Is peely a word? Okay, let's take, so that's my tree color. So let's take this darker gray color, and I'm going to do it while this is wet because it'll blend, but you don't have to. My paper is kind of warped, and it's okay if you have a lighter edge here. There'd be some atmospheric light wrapping around the tree anyway. Tell you what, we'll let that dry so you can see that there really isn't a ton of difference. We'll work on this tree. So normally I would turn my paper, but you guys are watching. Maybe I can kind of do it anyway. So you want to, the horizontal strokes help you get the shape of the tree. I just heard my doorbell. I'll be back in a minute. Hey, sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I was painting this side. I have no idea what I was saying. Let me know if videos like this are helpful. Did I mention the pear video? I probably did. It's talks about using a big brush. It talks about light direction, making a shape round, painting in layers, all those kinds of fun things. I love acrylics. They're just so forgiving. Oh, you know what I'm going to do is take some of our tree color and maybe just we soften it a little bit. I don't know, we like that better or not. Did we lose our white? Sometimes white can take a couple coats even though it's quite opaque. And opaque means can't see through it as easily. Titanium white has just a little bit of transparency. Mixing white, zinc white is more transparent. Was that too quick? Or you can just, if you want a transparent white, you can mix some matte medium with whatever white you have. Fun. Oh, yeah, we're doing dark. I kind of went back there a little bit. Or we're doing shadow side, because these trees are overall light in color. So I don't know if I can I do this? I want to pull it towards me. Maybe we'll just pull it down, because it's a skinny little tree anyway. We don't really have much middle value. Oops. Hopefully I didn't just bump my phone there. We're going to grab a little bit of our tree color. Do I need to grab a little bit of the white? So what, I was talking, let me back up a little bit with that thought. I was chatting with somebody on Facebook and they were talking about painting rocks and I got all excited about it. So I'm gonna paint this one as a ladybug. What do you guys do? What sort of things are fun for you to do? You know, anything from, I mean, it doesn't have to be painting or like knitting or, I mean, running marathons or reading books or whatever. I'd love to know. There's so many ways to be creative. Okay, let's go back. That's dry. See, it really doesn't. You really didn't blend tons. We really didn't need to do it wet. I like the palette knife, gives you a lot of texture, especially for the up close trees. But you know, for a softer look, use a brush. Okay, I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer. I decided, I guess I'll go back. I like this little brush or little palette knife. I'm going to go back with a little bit of our tree color. Just because I like the layers. So I'm just kind of putting it in the middle. Plus it'll help me be a little bit more random. Okay, let's let that dry. So a tree that's further away from you is going to be skinnier and smaller. I know you guys know that, but I just say it anyway. It's going to have less detail. If it's a whole tree, I've got a single tree simple landscape painting, and it's far enough away that you just pretty much see the shapes of the top of the tree with a couple of sky holes, a couple of branches. The further away, it just almost becomes a blob. I've got another simple landscape painting where I just have some hints of trees in the background, and they're basically just blobs. Excuse me, guys. All right, let's start playing. So I don't know, well, yeah, let's put I was gonna paint that tree. Let's paint this tree so I don't drag my hand through it. So there's some fun, kind of almost eyeball looking shapes. Oh, I have a reference photo that I'm looking at from Unsplash, UNSPLASH. Just because, so like here, let me grab that donut painting. Oh, sorry, I keep bumping my video arm. So with the donut painting, it doesn't look like the reference photo I have. But, like for this grouping of sprinkles, there's that grouping on my reference photo because it really helps get some realism because it's hard to be random and to have it look like the sprinkles were sprinkled on there. If you're like me, you tend to, like I painted all those strokes going down the tree the same width. I don't know if it's our brains that want to do that. So like this sprinkle pattern is actually on the reference photo. So that's why, like, even though the whole donut, I mean, is similar to it, my donut's a little whiter, a little smoother. I put purple colors in it. You know, that wasn't in the photo. But I pretty much always have a reference photo because I start to paint what I think I know instead of what I see. And one of the tricks is learning to paint what you see. So these trees have really skinny lines. Let's see if we can put a little paint on the edge of our palette knife. That actually kind of works. I don't particularly like that one, but that looks like some of the marks. There we go. I need a little more gray paint mixed up. So when you palette knife, you use more paint, and you need more paint to grab from to load your knife up. You could tell I started thinking about painting. I just abruptly stopped mid-thought there. But I think I told you you just need more paint when you palette knife. And even though it looks like there's a ton of texture, it's actually very smooth. There's not a ton of texture on there. But that's also because the paper's smooth. Okay, well, let's see what else we're doing here. We could make some lighter ones. And they're not going to really show up there. So I think on a birch tree, you kind of get like this kind of stuff going on where it's more scrapey. And I think on a aspen tree, you get more of these eyes. I'm looking forward to seeing the comments so you guys can tell me. That's starting to look like a birch tree. Should we add a little black? So it helps to build up. A lot of times, I think I mentioned this already, I save the white and the black or my darkest value for last. But since these are such contrasty subjects, you know, you can get away with isn't the right way to word that. It's just kind of a trick. So that way you don't have too much white or too much medium value. So like here I've got a lot of just sort of medium values, and then when you add your whites and your darkest dark, it helps your painting have a little more pop, zip. Sometimes you don't want that. If you're painting, say, a Misty Harbor, you don't, you know, it's not like you want that in every painting. I kind of want a little, there we go. Let's just make this bigger. It's just a little dabbing with the corner of my brush there. I think you guys are getting the idea. Let's put one right on the edge. Oh, I kind of like that one. Should we call it good? We could add a lot more detail. I think you guys get the idea. You could add a branch. They tend to be black. I would use a dark gray and then add, or maybe, yeah, I think a dark gray, and then add maybe a middle gray highlight in black, just to give a little roundness to the branch. Okay, let's use a little combo. So yeah, the ones I can sort of see off in the distance. Oop, that didn't even show. Have less detail. You may need I kind of like that. We may need a little darker color too. So I don't know if you were hearing it. It's quiet now, but it's July 2nd today, as I'm videoing this. It's evening, and people are lighting off fireworks because it's almost the 4th of July here. I think I said in the United States, didn't I? When I paint and I talk, I do not know what I say. All right, let's grab some of this dark. Let's see if it's too dark. So the less I do to this, the more impressionistic it looks. You know, that looks fairly impressionistic, but I like it. for more realism, paint more details and get more, get more specific with it. What do I mean by specific? Get tighter with it, maybe paint with a smaller brush. Pay attention to more details, that sort of thing. Oh, I like that. Let's call that good. And then we'll just paint the last one with the palette knife. So in theory, the palette knife and the more texture should make it look closer. This isn't necessarily the best example. Harder edges are closer, softer edges are quite often further away. Scribble a little bit. I just put a little bit on the tip of my palette knife. And now I'm looking at my reference photo. It has some interesting scars and lower one of the trees down here. Let's just kind of mimic it a little bit. One of these days, I think each Creative Commons Zero website has different licensing terms, and then they change the terms too, which makes me nervous. But I'll, be making enough money I can buy the rights to show the reference photo on YouTube. We'll get there. Oops, I got a little hair. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's put a little, I think we've got some on there, and then let's just rub it. Oh yeah, see, that's what one of the things I like about, there's still a little bit of texture. I don't want any paint on the, isn't that nice? Oh, I think that's kind of nice. Just get some random little, can't control it, but it picks up the texture of the brush strokes. Did I see a hair there? Picks up the texture of the brush strokes underneath, which sort of, if you have a little bit thicker layers, or maybe even on canvas or something. Oh, look at that, that's really nice. I think I just sounded like a total art nerd there. And then the closer you are, the more you would see the little texture guys. Should we call them texture guys? That's fun. And so we could be done. But since it's also, we're calling this our closest to us tree, our biggest tree, even though it's really not that much bigger than that one, we need some more contrast. More contrast as you come forward, less contrast as you go back. You guys might like some of my simple landscape paintings. I'll put the link in the video description. You know what, we kind of need one. Even maybe sticking out just a smidge. See, we could maybe even scrape some of it off. Just play with it. Let's put like a scar or something. I don't know what that would be, but let's just leave that. And then I didn't. All right, guys, should I keep painting? What do you think? We get the idea? But how fun is that? You could do, grab an 8x8 canvas and paint birch trees on it. Paint some just simple blue sky. You could paint the sky all the way down. You don't need any ground. And you can load it up with birch trees or just have a couple. Paint a little bird. Nope, that's more than I wanted. Let's just really make it more than we want then. So this is going to grab more attention because it has more black. and it has rougher edges. I think that looks pretty good. You come back with a little, you might need, I think I already said this, a couple layers of white can help too. Sometimes it makes the white pop a little better. Not just counting on one layer doing the job. Oh, that's nice. Oh, you know what we could do? I'm gonna dry this, I'll be right back. So when something gets closer to you, I think some artists call it living shadows. You know, like we could put some purple in here, like I did here, or some blue in there. So can you see that? There's purple in there. There's some purple in there. And it'll just make it, when you get it back from it just a little bit, it'll make it richer, more rich. I think I just had a grammar faux pas there. So to bring this tree a little forward, I don't know that it's going to work much because it's not that much. If it needs to be a little bit wider. But we could put some of our sky color in the tree. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Whoops. Well, let's just leave that. I said oops, but actually I was just talking about putting color so that the painting I showed you earlier that was all palette knife, I think those birch trees, they were blue, dark blue grayish. But really, to paint it black and white, and then we come and add little bits of some blue, I think that makes it look even neater. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you don't like that. So a lot of times the value is more important than the color. Now if we did hot pink, aspen or birch trees, whatever these are, it might not make sense. Well, it could. It could be just more abstract, you know, more vibrant. So actually it could make total sense. But sometimes putting in more color, or this is just a good example, putting in more color than is really in that chocolate frosting can just make it look yummier. Pun intended, I think, because that does look pretty yummy. Okay, I hope these tips helped. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's so fun. If you're new or even if you're not new, leave a comment. I really love connecting with you guys. Let me know what kind of paintings and videos you want me to do coming up next. Great big happy art hugs, and I hope to chat with you soon. Bye guys.